Have you ever seen someone succeed and then thought to yourself, that could have been me if I'd only acted sooner? Have you ever let doubt sabotage a great opportunity? If you have, you're not alone. You see, you were just facing fear. But we need to be careful because fear is the silent killer of dreams. 92% of investors will never reach their full potential if they let fear get in the way. I know this because I've hesitated. I've been paralyzed by the what ifs. I've been scared to act. But what I noticed on my journey is that the top investors do something very different. You see, they lean into fear and they take action anyway. And so today, I'm going to share with you exactly how that works. I'm going to share with you my story about how I encountered this on my own journey, how I used it to become this hesitant college kid, to becoming a seven-figure entrepreneur and financially independent real estate investor. I like to call this practice, this tool, if you will, the breakthrough habit. And all it is a tool to allow you to break through continuously in all areas of your life. Now, when I was growing up, as you can see, I came from a pretty big family. This is about half of my family. I had 31 first cousins, 16 aunts and uncles, and we had some incredible, fun parties filled with laughter, great food, great company. But there was a little bit of a negative to this. There was pressure. And the reason why I felt pressure was that a lot of my family had gone to extremely prestigious universities. Harvard, Yale, UCLA, USC. And as one of the younger cousins, I looked up to them. They held top-tier positions in medicine and in law. So I can remember at one of these parties, my Aunt Mary came to me and asked me that classic question that you ask a 14-year-old. What do you want to do when you grow up? And in that moment, feeling some of that pressure, I thought, and I was like, you know what? I want to be a doctor. In fact, I want to be an orthopedic surgeon because they got paid the top dollar. And at that moment, I had it all figured out. I knew the exact path that I was going to take. Now, fast forward a few years later, I had taken a number of AP classes. I had gotten pretty good marks on my tests, and I made it into UC San Diego. So I was like, all right, I'm going to proudly declare myself pre-med. I was on the path. Now, one of the classes that you have to take for pre-med is Chemistry 6A. And I specifically remember I studied relentlessly for this class. I felt prepared. I went into the exam, Peterson Hall, room 602, and I sat down at the desk. And I remember looking at the midterm, and it looked like a foreign language that I had never studied before. Fear hit me like a brick. I started to panic. Sweat started to pour down my face. I felt flushed and red. And I did the best that I could do. But unfortunately, my best wasn't good enough. I got a big fat F. And this F, even though it was a letter grade, triggered a fear that I'd never felt before. You see, I'd only gotten, probably the worst grade I had was a B, and all of a sudden I got an F. So this is a true attack on my identity. Because in this moment, it shattered my idea of what my next path was supposed to be. But here's the thing. Even though I wanted to run away, I wanted to quit university, I wanted to go home and hide in a corner, I remembered a book that I'd read 2 summers ago. And it was a book by Tony Robbins called Unlimited Power. And in this book, he taught me how to reframe a situation, how to change my perspective. And in that moment, I realized that I had a choice. I could either let fear stop me, or I could ask it a better question. What else could this mean? Now again, I was absolutely terrified. And the reason why I was so terrified of the unknown was because this was an attack on my identity. Is my family going to even accept me anymore? Am I worthy of their acceptance? Am I worthy of love? That cut deep. But instead, I decided to pivot. I ended up studying economics, and the reason why I went to economics, by the way, was because it was the closest thing to money, and I still want to make a lot of money, so economics was the path that I decided to take. And for 4 years, I studied economics, and I was pretty lucky. When I graduated, the economy was on fire, and I landed a technology job. Not in economics, but in technology. And the reason why was because we were in the dot-com boom, and money was being thrown all over the place. And for me, fortunately, I was a computer gamer. And so all of the random skills that I had acquired from building computers transferred over to IT technical services. And so I ended up working for a company that was doing really well. We got acquired by another company. We got lots of stock options. I was like, yes, I'm going to be a multimillionaire by the age of 22. But then the unthinkable happened. September 11th, 2001. As the Twin Towers come down in New York City, so too does the US economy, and the world economy for that matter. And with it, my company was not spared. We had to shut down our office in New York, Los Angeles, and in San Diego, where I was at, half of our workforce was gone. So again, fear set in. But this time, I had a little bit of experience with fear. And so what I did was that I asked a better question. I realized that I couldn't control what the situation was, but I could control my reaction to it. And so I called in a couple buddies of mine, Mike and Brett, into my office, and I said, hey, we're gonna get laid off anyway, so why don't we go ahead and instead start our own company? Carpe diem. Now, that one decision became the catalyst for my entrepreneurial journey, and I'm so thankful for that. So, the breakthrough habit that I want to share with you guys today, this tool really starts with fear. Now, fear is an interesting thing, right? Fear is actually a good thing. It keeps us safe from danger. If you are taking a hike, you hear something rattling on the side, you probably don't want to put your hand in and get bit by the rattlesnake. Okay, we want to be intelligent with fear. But isn't it also true that fear can hold us back sometimes from moving forward towards the things that we actually want to have in our lives? And that type of fear I like to call FEAR, false expectations appearing real. Now, as humans, we're kind of funny because we like to fixate in all the things that could go wrong, but in reality, we can only get one result. And so again, the first step is acknowledging the fear. So, the question then becomes, how do you then take action, which is step 2, in spite of the fear? Well, the fastest way that I know is to change your physiology. So this means this could be a shift in your body, this could be a shift of your focus, and there's different tools that you can do. For those of you that were here last year, we did a board break where we changed our physiology, where we broke through something different. And one of the other tools that you can also use is to ask yourself a better question. So what do you think? I'm starting a business in 2002, post 9/11. We're in a huge recession. Did my fear increase or did it decrease? You guys are smart. Yes, it definitely increased, right? Fear started showing up all over the place. I was fearful of even starting the business. What would it mean if I fail? What would my family think? What would my friends think? But But I also had the fear of even starting the business because the company that we left was mad that we left and we were going to compete with them. So they threatened to sue us on top of that. But even though there was a lot of fear, there was also a lot of excitement. So I started to focus on the things that could go right. And so we took $2,000 a piece, we put it together, we hired a business attorney, we got all of our paperwork in order. And luckily, there's one good thing about California, I will say, is that non-competes don't fly in California. So we were able to start the business. And then we started taking massive action. We did 24/7 IT support. I got down on my hands and knees. I was plugging in cables, setting up printers, building servers, building networks, doing it all. And we had some incredible clients, but we also had some pretty eccentric clients as well. Some of them, this one gentleman specifically, Rick Jorgensen, was a former Marine sergeant. And when I set up his Outlook and I couldn't download his emails, whoo, he ripped me a new one, let me tell you. And in that moment, I was like, do I really want to become an entrepreneur? I don't know. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. We also made some mistakes, like hiring people that couldn't sell. An engineer here, you can see David. He inspired our drug policy. I didn't know he had to test for drugs, but he would disappear for days on end. And he actually wrote a manifesto in our office late at night, unbeknownst to us after we let him go, that was kind of on borderline Unabomber type crap. Excuse my language. But fear became a constant companion. And we kept taking action. And if you want to create a habit, you want to do something over and over and over and over again until it sticks. And guess what? When you take an action, you are going to get a result. Now here's the thing. The result that you get can be positive or it can be negative, right? You're not guaranteed one way or the other, but you will get a result. And a result is magic. And the reason why it's magic is because if you take that action, if you get that result, either it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, but if you take zero action, you will get zero results. So we started taking massive action, and thankfully, over time, I'll tell you in the beginning, most of our results were poor because we didn't know what we were doing. But over time, we started to stack some of the positive results. And so we started to grow. We started to grow our company, and sorry, I got to skip through this part, but lots of results. And we actually were able to grow the company. We started to expand. We actually were able to buy 2 competitors with no money down, similar to real estate. And it was a phenomenal way to grow. We ultimately ended up on the fastest growing list of companies in San Diego, 3 years running, and we were incredibly profitable. We ended up expanding out to Chicago, Illinois. So we had a presence on the West Coast as well as the Midwest. And then we kind of got a little complacent. We created the cardinal sin. And the cardinal sin is this: we let one of our clients, our biggest client, take up 50% of our revenues. Now, the problem with that is that they grew so fast that they didn't need outsourced IT anymore. And when that happened, they gave us notice that they weren't going to renew the contract. And so all of a sudden, 50% of our revenues were going to disappear, and panic set in for my partners, I will say. Thankfully, I said no. Let's get creative. Let's use this as an opportunity to sell the business. And we did exactly that. I ended up dialing for dollars all of our competitors, all of the larger conglomerate companies, private equity, and within 3 months, we were able to sell the business for 7 figures. So again, step 3 is the result. We want to make sure that we're getting a result. And this part, if you get a negative result, there's a good likelihood you're going to go back to step 1, right? You're like, oh, that didn't work. I got to go back to step 1. I'm scared of what's going to happen. But if you get the positive result, then you want to continue on the breakthrough habit and repeat. You want to create momentum. You want to build upon this and create the habit. So, with real estate investing, question for you guys. Do you think now that I had figured out the breakthrough habit for entrepreneurship that it just magically transferred over to real estate? I can hear by the chuckles. No, it did not. New fears set in, and to be honest, in some ways, it was actually worse because I got so analytical. I got stuck in that void, that analysis paralysis. I wanted everything to be right. Now, I took a little bit of action. I learned what a good deal looked like. I knew how to run the numbers, but I didn't want to make offers. I didn't want to talk to people. I was scared to talk to people, and so I held back, and that's what happened. And caution ultimately became my cage. But I did finally remember the breakthrough habit 4 years later, and I was like, enough is enough. It's time to take some action. And I picked up the phone, called a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I said, hey, I need some help getting an investment property. So he was great. He actually helped me to go out and start making offers. There's actually a lot of great deals that were out there. This is 2010. Perfect time, right after the 2008 crash. And I started making new offers, getting new results. But I was a little slow. So first one, I literally flew over to Las Vegas. I ran all my numbers, went back to San Diego, ran all my numbers, finally called him up 5 days later. Hey, I'm ready to make the offer. And by that time, he's like, sorry, dude, there's 2 other contingent offers that are already in place before yours. So no deal, no deal, no deal, no deal, no deal. I was like, okay, this is probably telling me something, right? Someone evaluating the results. Change it up and get a new result. Finally, I faced my fear. My fear was that if I made the investment, that all of a sudden, if I made the offer, I was gonna have to commit that money. But the truth is, you didn't have to do that. I didn't realize this. I was a brand new investor. There's this thing called the inspection contingency. Ooh, I like that. I can actually look at the property, make the offer, they can accept it, and then I can say, no, don't want that, or no, you have to lower the price. That allowed me to start making offers faster and faster. And on the 12th offer, once I caught some wind, I got the deal. I was a bona fide real estate investor. Thank you, thank you. It was like the best feeling ever. I was like, oh my gosh, 4 years of this and that, and I'm finally here. And so here's the house that I ended up purchasing, Champney, Las Vegas. This is an actual house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and the numbers were amazing. The numbers penciled out perfectly. I was gonna make $500 of cash flow after putting down roughly 20%. Rehab was only about $5,000. Did the paint, and I was ready to list it as a rental. Now, I was just super stoked because I was like ready to go out and do another one. But literally, a day after I put the listing up there, I get a letter from the HOA in my inbox. It says, no rentals allowed. Please refer to the restrictions against leasing for my HOA called Independence, with the exception if you want to rent it to your mom, for the period of 100 years. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So again, fear just hit me, and I was like, are you kidding me? I started turning flush. I got so upset. I called my agent and subsequently 5 different real estate attorneys. I said, I'm sorry, your income property? Well, you have no income. So again, doubt flooded me, and I called myself lots of names. You're an idiot. But thankfully, I called upon the breakthrough habit. And I asked myself, what else could this mean? And so similar to Tom had talked to you about his rich dad, poor dad, getting into that scam, costing him 15 grand. So for me, I was like, okay, well, this just cost me about 15 grand as well, because that was the down payment I think I put in, maybe a little bit more. I was like, all right, I better use this as a lesson. And I better learn that lesson because it's a very expensive one. And I did exactly that. 2 months later, I ended up purchasing the house across the street, literally across the street, this one here, and I still own it to this day. The amount of money that I put into it returned a 10x of equity, not to mention the past 12 years of constant cash flow. And so being able to really lean into fear and being able to take action and continually do this, not just once, but twice and 3 times and 4 times and 5 times, allowed me to become financially independent. It wasn't just a one and done. Okay, so again, with the breakthrough habit, we have a choice. We have a choice if we want to face the fear. We have a choice if we want to take the action. We have a choice on what these results mean, and we have a choice if we want to repeat this as a habit in our lives. Now, here's the cool thing, and I wish I could have told myself this 15 years earlier. You don't have to do this alone. You can do this with friends. You can join masterminds. You can join coaching programs. You can join investment programs. You can invest in yourself. And not only that, it works with family, with relationships. It also works if you want to walk across hot coals, which I've done about 8 times now. And this one, if you guys remember from last year, my biggest fear ever in life was the fear of speaking in public. And I love it now. I get such a thrill. And so now I want you guys to have the opportunity to adopt the breakthrough habit. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through an exercise that's going to allow you to at least address number 1 and number 2. So Justin, if you wouldn't mind hitting number 1 for me. I want you guys to take out a piece of paper, or if you want to be digital, that's fine as well. Don't necessarily write on it yet, but go ahead and have that ready to go. And I just want you to close your eyes really quick. I want you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to ask yourself a question. I want you to be honest with yourself. What is one fear that shows up? Maybe it's conscious, maybe it's not. But what's one thing that's been blocking you that you know that if you just did it, it would move you closer towards your goals, towards the life that you deserve? What is that one fear? And as you think about that, I want to thank you for having that honesty, that understanding that we all go through these fears in life. But it is a choice on what we do with them. And so I want you to open your eyes and go ahead and jot down on your piece of paper, in your books, or if you want to do it digitally, that's fine as well. What is that one fear? Give you guys about 30 seconds or so. What is it that you've been avoiding? What is the actual fear that's showing up? And then next, I want you to ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if you face that fear? What is the worst that can happen if you face that fear? Remember, there's only one result that happens if you take that action. Okay, so make sure you got that down, you got it in place. And the second step now is you get to decide what action you're going to take in order to move yourself past that fear. Now, here's the cool thing. You are at RubeCon 25. Dustin has put together this amazing event so that you have the support of people here, similar mindset, similar values. And I want you to draw upon that energy and think about, what is that one step that you could take to move you forward for that next step? As a top investor, who do you need to call? What do you need to move past? Do you need to stand up for yourself? Don't just think about it, feel it. It could be a simple action. And I want this action to be something that can be done today, or at the very latest, by the end of RubeCon in 2 days. I don't care if it's you scheduling something on your calendar. I don't care if it's a decision that you make. And let me be clear, a decision is cutting off all other possibilities. You are moving forward. Okay. Great job. I see you guys, you have lots of energy. Now, I am so excited for you guys because this is really an opportunity to take the first step. But as I said, we need to do this over and over again. And so what I'd love to gift to you guys today is a Breakthrough Habits Challenge, a 5-day challenge where I'm gonna check in with you guys after RubeCon and see where you're at. I wanna know, please share with me what your fear is and that specific action that's gonna help you move past that. Okay, I would love for you guys to join. And then on the final day, we're gonna do a Zoom call, and the best thing is we can support each other. So please join me there. I really thank you guys for stepping up today and committing to becoming the best versions of yourself, to becoming the top investors that people only dream about. You know, fear, for most people, is the signal to stop. But for you guys, for me, for those who dare to dream beyond, fear is a signal. It's a signal to step up, to lean in and take action anyway. And I'm so excited for you guys to adopt the breakthrough habit. Thank you.